Now let's talk about cost in the short run. So remember, we're in the short run when there's at least one fixed input. And that fixed input can be rent, it could be a capital good, right? Something that cannot be changed easily, very quickly, as like labor or materials. So remember, we do have factor payments. These goes back to the explicit cost that we talked about before. It's what the firm is paying for the use of the factors of production. So raw material prices, rent, wages and salaries, the equipment that they have to buy, interest and dividends if that's what they're looking at, and then obviously profit at the end of it. Profit, while it may seem odd to treat profit as a cost, it's what the entrepreneurs are earning for taking the risk to start a business. So it's kind of like at the end of the day, the entrepreneur says that he earns $200 profit. Well, that's his income, right? So it's a cost to the business because the business is going to be paying the entrepreneur the $200 for the profit. All right. So let's go into these a little bit more in depth. We do have variable costs and fixed costs. For the same reason, we have variable inputs and fixed inputs. Variable costs are the costs that are variable, like labor, and the only way to increase or decrease the output is by increasing or decreasing the variable cost. For example, if we wanted to make more pizzas, we're going to need to hire more labor, we're going to need to buy more ingredients. And by doing this is going to cost you more money. But if you wanted to make less pizzas, it's going to cost you less money because less labor, less ingredients. See how it changes because we're having more or less quantity of pizzas. Fixed costs, on the other hand, it doesn't matter how much pizzas you're doing. Whether you do 0 or 100, the fixed cost is going to stay the same. For example, let's say rent is a fixed $3,000 monthly payment. So whether you do 0 or 100 pizzas, it doesn't matter. Your rent is still $3,000. Okay? Fixed costs are the expenditures that a firm must make before production even starts. These do not change when production changes. So we now have our total cost of fixed cost and variable cost. All right? So let's use a coffee trailer at a farmer's market as an example. There is a $50 fee for doing the market, and then a hired labor is $100 for the day, and then costs about $4 in materials to make a latte. So let's look at this. What is a fixed cost in this example? Well, no matter what, we have to pay the $50 ahead of time to actually do the market, and then the labor, whether he does 0 lattes or 100, we still have to pay them $100 for the day. So this is a fixed cost because it doesn't matter how much they do, we're paying them $100, so it's a fixed amount. And then finally we have cost about $4 in material. Now this is where the variable comes in, because if I did 0 lattes, then that's 0 cost. If I did 100, that's more cost, right? So total fixed cost, 0 lattes. What is that? That's the 50 and the 100. So my total fixed cost would be 150 here, all right? And then what about my variable costs? Well, I'm not making any lattes, so $0 there. So my total cost would be $150. It is very important to know that when your quantity is 0, your total cost is equal to your total fixed cost because you're not using any variable cost here. All right. One latte, right? The fixed cost is still 150. It's a fixed amount. It doesn't change. It's going to be 150 the whole way down. Now, if we did 1 latte, that's $4. If we did 2, that's $4. 3, 4. I'm sorry. Whoop. If we did 2 lattes, that's a total of $8 in terms of materials. If we did 3 lattes, that's a total of $12. And if we did 4 lattes, that's a total of $16. $4 per cup made 4 cups, $16. Notice here that as the quantity is increasing, the total variable cost is also increasing. Okay? That's what's special about the variable cost. It changes as the quantity changes. So total, pretty straightforward. You're just adding those two together to create your total cost. Right? So this is kind of what it looks like from a different example where you have your labor, you have your quantities, but look, your fixed cost stays the same the whole time. If we were to look at this on a graph, if you did 0 output, your graph would start right here. It would start at 160 because 0 output, you still have to pay the fixed cost. But as you can see, the graph is increasing because of the variable cost. All right. So this creates the total cost curve. All right. So the next thing we'll do is we'll break down these costs a little bit more in depth in terms of averages and of course the marginal.